Welcome. My name is Samit Srinivasan and I am with IBM Business Analytics Solutions. It is indeed a pleasure to host this Financial Performance Insider webinar on the topic of new innovations in IBM Cognos TM1 version 10.2 and beyond. Joining me today are Paul Sena, Business Unit Executive for Performance Management, and who will be covering the topic Achieving Performance Management Excellence with Cognos TM1. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Samit. Great to be here.
Thank you. And Shad Peruba, Business Unit Executive for Performance Management Strategy, and he will be covering the recently announced IBM Concert. Welcome, Shad.
Thank you, Samit.
Thank you. We have reserved 5 minutes at the end for questions. So we encourage you to submit questions throughout the session through the Q&A button in your web console. We will try to answer them during the Q&A section. Now, many of you have been attending the Financial Performance Insider webinar series for the last few years. This is an exclusive venue for existing IBM customers and business partners to expand your knowledge of performance management practices and business analytics solutions from IBM. We feature new product releases, tips and best practices in performance reporting and scorecarding, planning, budgeting and forecasting, financial disclosure and close management, sales performance management, governance, risk and compliance. From time to time, we provide sneak peeks into work that we are doing in the labs, and we sometimes feature the latest thinking from industry thought leaders. Look, the reason we are here is that volatility, uncertainty, and risk are now a part of the normal course of business. And this is placing increasing pressure on our ability to realize the full performance potential of our organizations in terms of revenue and profit growth and shareholder value. In fact, according to the CFO Executive Board, on an average, we are unable to realize up to 30% of our potential due to weaknesses in our performance management processes, practices, and systems. Our financial analysts continue to spend too much time on low-value activities. We have poor visibility into business drivers of performance. Our performance management processes continue to experience too much latency and manual effort. The key to reclaiming that performance potential lies in developing analytic capabilities and analytic maturity, which we call AQ or analytic quotient. Analytics is a source of significant advantage to automate recurring processes, gain new insight, and increase organizational agility. Based on our experience working with clients such as yourselves, we see that the more you infuse analytics into your business, the better you and your business will perform, and the more your team gains time, control, and confidence. Indeed, we find that organizations achieve more when they establish a reliable, dynamic, and continuous connection between resources, opportunities in our marketplace or across our value chain to achieve better outcomes, and doing that well spans all areas of your organization, finance with operations, and operations with the front lines. This is a performance management cycle that is best done while addressing financial governance mandates and mastering risk and uncertainty, all with a deep analytic quotient for compliance, regulation, and risk. More than ever, we need to strengthen our ability to measure and monitor business performance and identify performance gaps, increase visibility into risk indicators as well as business drivers, and then drill down into root cause, assess the impact of alternative assumptions about future actions. Based on the latest forecast captured from all the right participants as frequently as needed, we need to communicate insight using narrative reviews of a single version of the truth. So without further delay, let me hand the microphone to Paul Sena, who will be walking you through IBM Cognos TM1 10.2 version and its capabilities. Over to you, Paul.
Well, thank you, Summit. And I'll advance the slide to my first. So for the next 20 to 25 minutes, I'll be speaking about Cognos TM1 and the capabilities, benefits, and features in it that'll help any organization, large, small, public, private, for-profit, not-for-profit, achieve the best they can in performance management. Now, my colleague Samit did a great job of describing how organizations are missing opportunities because of poor performance management. That tied to the subpar use of not only the use but availability of analytics. Our friends at Hackett have provided us some data, and on the screen you'll see how even a decrease in the number of professionals and experts in the finance area, down 3% during the time of their study, is paired at the same time with how CFOs reported are a 30% decrease in the loss of potential. So the performance management subpar performance isn't based solely in finance and just with results, but there can be many other factors at play. So again, we'll use Cognos TM1 to help address some of these challenges. Now, performance management has been the subject of work for many, many vendors over the years. And if you look at the bottom row and move up while I discuss, the first round of solutions came back we'll say 20 years ago or so, when there was specific solutions, including from IMRS, that addressed consolidation, and then later into budgeting and planning with a product called Pillar, perhaps that many of you used. Also, Lotus 123 was the hottest spreadsheet at the time, and Microsoft Excel as well. And I believe my friend Chad even has a copy of Quattro Pro on his machine today. Now, moving through time, we've seen how best-of-breed applications came up. We've seen how specific platform applications gave rise. And we find ourselves today with really a platform approach to solving performance management. And with Cognos TM1, it's not just, again, addressing performance management in the Office of Finance, but by tying performance management to operations and behavior throughout the corporation, namely in sales, marketing, operations, workforce, and finance. And so for the next handful of slides, I'm going to walk you through how Cognos TM1 works with these specific capabilities and functions in an organization to address performance management. Now, my colleagues throughout the performance management and business intelligence business and the market would like to describe their products with specific illustrations that show servers and interaction between different pieces, and that's very helpful, but we'll cut to the chase and describe how Cognos TM1 solves the problem. Now, at the core of performance management operations is budgeting and planning. You need to understand where you'll be. You need to be able to measure performance against a strong set of expectations and plans, and certainly those are manifested through a great planning and budgeting system, which is driven by great technology to do so. So the screen shows in the middle, in the upside-down triangle, the different types of planning and budgeting that is available with Cognos TM1. It's supported by business modeling, the idea that you needn't script through or program a set of procedures or behaviors to enable these types of planning that you see in the middle of the page. You'll certainly have a number of different workers and parts of the organization who are submitting information to their plan. So we also support, as you see on the left, multiple client environments, meaning different users will access the plan with different software according to their needs. And we like to think that we support all those different needs, and we'll be covering that near the end of my presentation. And supporting the entire operation is an in-memory analytics server. I'm sure you've noticed in-memory is the hottest term these days, describing how servers do computations and calculations and make data available to its users. Cognos TM1 has been in-memory, and it's used an in-memory footprint in technology for more than 20 years. So we'll discuss in a little bit why in-memory is important and how Cognos TM1 brings in-memory procedures to play. So Cognos TM1 benefits all corporations in a variety of different ways, but helpful for us today would be to categorize those capabilities in these 4 different areas. And these 4 areas really are reflective of the latest technology we've made available in the 10.2 release, which was launched this past September. So when we think of Cognos TM1 these days, we think of the advantages that Cognos TM1 as a platform delivers to its users and corporations, the ability to model the business, and we'll discuss what modeling means in a moment, how its capabilities span the enterprise, how you're not left to manage performance management only in finance, how performance management really is a responsibility of everyone in the organization. And lastly, how Cognos TM1 can touch everyone in the organization with a system of engagement, with different tools to address the specific capabilities and needs of any user in the organization. Now we'll start with the Cognos TM1 advantages, specifically the platform advantages. And a platform advantage contrasts with a solution where I have smaller bits of software that each address a different problem. Maybe a small one for budgeting, another one for forecasting, yet a different element for top-down planning, a different one for setting assumptions and reporting. With Cognos TM1 at IBM, Cognos TM1 has all of those capabilities built onto its platform. And what that allows us to do is to bring together different management processes. In one place, I'll be setting top-down or bottom-up targets, planning through the year, perhaps applying a rolling forecast, and at any time checking my performance against those targets. Because we're using the same solution across the platform, it makes it easy to reuse and be very agile as I design and roll out the system. Because I'm not having to remember how to work the software for different processes, I can be very agile, move very quickly to make little tweaks and to add new capabilities to the plan for my users. It makes it a lot easier. It addresses the learning curve, making it lower the fact that I'm on a platform. So again, it speeds up development and rollout of the process. And we're leveraging a single set of technology, a single in-memory analytics server. So all issues in terms of managing the box, managing the technology, just hits one main server as opposed to having to hit the technology in different pieces. This slide shows the different performance management processes that a platform in a single place allows you to touch, driving down the communication of value, business and operation planning on the left, budgeting on the right, all touching an integrated analytics and scorecard capability, which came to bear in version 10.2 of TM1. And right through the bottom, we see a process of talking to customers, opportunity management, all through sales performance management, which is also a capability attached to the TM1 platform. The TM1 platform has these specific areas. We have a modeling environment, a specific administration environment that you use to set up the system, and an area where you manage the server. There's also desktop environments, and there's also environments for users that are remote or are web-based or both. The analytics server really is the key to the platform, and some of the attributes to the server are that it runs in memory. I needn't exchange data with the hard drive to pull out the values that I need. The server has the values in memory, in RAM, which is very, very fast, and that enables the server to return results as quickly as possible, doing calculations on the fly. It's no different than if I were to do some calculations by writing the numbers on a legal pad versus me in my head being able to calculate any kind of problem that I needed an answer to. So in memory, we aggregate and calculate on demand. So I needn't wait for a specific process to run overnight in order for me to return results. TM1 runs on the most modern of technology. It's fast, it's efficient, and given it's in memory and the technology, I can solve very large problems with tens of thousands of SKUs, for example, with employee participants, whatever I need to solve my budgeting and planning problems. I don't need to break up the problem into smaller pieces because of capacity challenges with my software. And lastly, the best part for finance is I don't need to engage a specific DBA to work the software. Cognos TM1 can be managed by a line of business professional or someone in finance or sales or whatever department is using TM1, and that's certainly a benefit. We're even seeing the good things said by some of our analyst friends out there regarding the platform strategy, this note from Nucleus Research. So let's now move on to the advantages of a model. Now you'll find different definitions of the word model at any kind of business or presentation that you attend or read. But think of a model as simply a representation of your business where each object in the model is significant to a specific function or department or role in your corporation or organization. And the model also shows the interaction between those different objects, how data flows from one element to the other, the specific relationship between, say, corporate and one of the lower level departments. And we use a model to help describe your business and as well describe the interaction between elements of the model. Now this contrasts with a calculated version or a programmatic version where I'm building up a variety of rules to help define how data moves through the system. The challenge with that approach is I need experts in rule building, and I really don't have a useful way to make changes to my planning model without having to dive into the script. So as you see on the screen, we leverage a model to document the business environment. It also helps us identify opportunities, and very quickly I can change my model as things in the market change. New opportunities come up, new challenges, new competitors, new pricing. I come to one place to adjust my model and adjust my plan. I can test assumptions. I can execute what-if challenges. If I'm considering buying a company, if I'm considering getting bought, I can make all of those what-if scenario exercises in one place in my model. And a simple model enables me to generate my application with just a couple of clicks because I have all of the data, all the metadata and values and assumptions all in one place. Now we've got some great illustrations, some pictures of how a model is administered in Cognos TM1. Top left shows the graphical perspective, how different elements of my model work together. At the bottom left, you see an illustration of how we define and map incoming data to the model. And the top right is an ingenious way we simply move data from one element to the other, where I have some rate and cost information and how in real time that costing and rate information gets written to my sales element of the business. So I always have the up-to-date assumptions and drivers directly from the model. No scripting required. The sophisticated modeling process makes it easy to do some sophisticated things. I can map different processes very easily, and you'll see an example of that in the next screen. I reuse lists, I reuse dimensions and views, so I'm not duplicating and perhaps messing up my definition of my org structure or how sales works or the list of companies and competitors that are out there. I can customize the workspace so I'm seeing exactly what's important to me and to identify opportunities. And I can also create alternate hierarchies. I can roll up my plans based on the submission and approval process, but I can also aggregate my plans based on a management view or an opportunity view or an internal reporting view. And these are all specific elements of the modeling process that yield sophisticated planning and also makes it very easy to do. Moving to the third advantage, the idea of spanning the enterprise. We all know that the more users that plan, the better my plans and budgets are. When I push the budget out to end users and to other elements, I increase capabilities, and those end users own the plan, helping make them very much in a position to drive their business to achieve their plan. There's accountability by moving the plan to as many users as I can. And spanning the enterprise allows me to do that. I can create drivers that connect the operational cause to the financial effect, bringing in many users into the process. I can build in scorecards that touch every part of the organization and metrics, and this was made new with version 10.2 of Cognos TM1. Very easily, I create templates and business logic for each area of the business. In a single TM1 system, I can have HR and workforce planning. I can have sales planning, perhaps, expense planning, asset management, even production planning. And we create specific templates for each of those areas. HR will see a list of employees. Sales will see a list of the products and services and the sales reps and the territories that they're responsible for, and so on. And by spanning the enterprise, I can create top-level forecasts that come from different areas of the business, driving down to my readjusted budget that fires, say, every month or every quarter or even every week. By spanning the enterprise, it allows us to create really a strategy-aligned organization. I have everyone working with the same piece of software and achieving really the same sets of results driven by their own behavior. Here's sales working with incentive compensation, marketing doing their campaign planning with specific scorecards. The operations folks have the KPIs, uptime, and other systems that are important to them. Workforce planning, salary and compensation planning as well. And lastly, all the specific finance areas. Now, this slide reflects simply examples of the organizations and departments in my system. I can have any kind of representation of my business. These are just 5 examples. And earlier I mentioned a nice example of linking kind of disparate processes. If you see the screen on the top, it might be reflective of a company that has a number of stores out in the market. And here we're doing some planning. We're saying that we're going to open up a brand new store in the month of May. And that's all that our store planning folks need to worry about. Down low in finance, I see that new store opening in May fires off a whole set of planning. In this case, we automatically start the revenue planning in May. And associated to that would be any kind of expense planning that's associated with opening a new store. So my store planners don't have to worry about the GL accounts and other expenses that are associated with a new store. Elsewhere in the model, it accommodates all the expenses and planning that are associated with it. And again, this is one small example. To span the enterprise also means to give everyone the ability to see where they are, to understand targets. I have integrated metrics and scorecards and strategy maps that are built into the system. I don't have to worry about building these kinds of elements in a different system. My scorecards and metrics are directly tied to actual and budget plans, so they're calculated on the fly. And everyone gets their own representation of their scorecard. Is it happy? Is it sad? Are we making progress or not? Our built-in scorecarding and metrics has this type of metadata. I have metrics reflected on the bottom. Those metrics appear on a scorecard. You see that in the middle screenshot. You see status and trend with all the built-in graphics. And on the top right, we see the metric indicators: status, trend, tolerance, variance, and variance percent, all calculated on the fly for you, all with the calculations built into the system, so you need to come up with it. You simply come up with the metrics, how you want them collected on a scorecard. You simply say what values in your actual and plan drive those, and your scorecards are ready to go. Our last advantage before we move on to chat reflects the system of engagement. How do we touch all of the users out there? How do we get them the tools that are most appropriate to them? Well, built into the system are these different elements: Cognos analysis for Excel, a two-way system for moving data, Cognos TM1 data, on and off of Excel. We know that Excel is one of the favorite environments for most users, especially in finance. Why not give them live TM1 data inside of Excel? Cognos Insight, a desktop environment for users to create new assumptions, do some reporting, and look at scorecards. Bottom left, Cognos Mobile Contributor, giving iPad users who are out on the go the ability to review their plan and submit new plans. And Cognos TM1, with the ability for users with the browser to review plans, submit new plans, make assumptions, perform what-if exercises as well. And at the bottom, all of this supported with Performance Modeler, which is an environment for building up. It's the administration area for Cognos TM1. Very quickly on Mobile Contributor, off of an iPad, users can enter data, they can submit their plan data, They can see their results. They can see summary figures calculated in real time. If I'm an approver, I see instantly the plans submitted by my end users, and I can reject or approve them. It is the same model that I built in Performance Modeler, and there's no multiple work, as you'll see with many systems, to kind of move my displays that are fine on a big browser or desktop down to the iPad. It's all done automatically for you. Cognos Analysis for Excel also allows me to link to my Cognos TM1 server if I have it elsewhere. There are tens of thousands of customers of Cognos TM1. Cafe can be used simply to connect to that server. I can leverage Excel for all its great reporting capabilities. I can get the best of Excel now with the best of my data represented in Cognos TM1. And with version 10.2, Cognos TM1 is now available in the cloud. For those companies that want to decrease some of the spending in IT, want to shorten up some of the rollout and deployment processes, you can work with Cognos and we can roll out your environment, your system in a cloud-based environment in which the IBM experts manage the server, manage Cognos TM1, so all you have to worry about is building your model and rolling out the URL to your users. We do all the upgrades and patching. We keep the system running fast. We do all the tuning and maintenance, thereby saving your time getting the system up and running, as well as ongoing capital expenditures. This slide, I've already covered these points, is the difference between on-premise and Cognos TM1 Cloud. You can still do on-premise if you like. It gives you the greatest level of control, and you can apply fixes and patches as you need, or you can go with the on-cloud environment. So I've repeated that first slide here, all the various advantages, things you can do with Cognos TM1, all these different types of planning and modeling available, and the 4 specific advantages that Cognos TM1 has that delivers, as we see on the bottom, capabilities, innovation, and advancements that power the needs of business, as well as performance management. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I'm going to turn the agenda over to my pal, Chad Peruba. And Chad, I am clicking on Task Content Control Only right now.
Thanks, Paul. So from here on out, what we're going to start to look at is something brand new we have that we're referring to as IBM Concert. IBM Concert is a brand new direction that IBM is taking our business analytic applications. So with all the great things that Paul talked about with what TM1 is bringing to the table, we still have a list of issues that folks deal with every single day, no matter how great their budgeting and planning and forecasting application is. So people are challenged with things like limited collaboration. If you don't happen to be able to make the flights or you have to leave early out of a meeting, quite oftentimes out of the office means out of the loop. We're also challenged by process silos. Within an organization, different people have different responsibilities, and it's tough to sync up and make sure that everybody's pulling in the same direction. And then all of us are challenged by task overload. All of us are looking at sometimes hundreds of emails that are coming into our inbox, and utilizing just an email system to prioritize how your business life should transpire sometimes doesn't cut it. So a variety of analysts, and in this situation Gartner, have also brought up a relatively new concept that they're referring to as the Nexus of Forces. And that's the new generation of worker are challenged by some additional things, such as how are we best going to utilize collaboration? How do we make our applications mobile? How do we take all of the data that's out there and be able to utilize it and utilize the cloud to access that information? So IBM Concert was created with these Nexus of Forces in mind. So what we're trying to do is harness social, mobile, cloud with big data and analytics and give a new paradigm where we can access this information. So internally at IBM, what we did is we looked and saw what are some of the things that we're really doing well today. And so we've got a variety of applications. A lot of you are familiar with the IBM Cognos and SPSS applications. TM1 is in that family of applications, as is Cognos 10 BI. We wanted to take the capabilities that existed there, but then go and grab the collaborative capabilities that exist in IBM Connections, the mobile capabilities that can be delivered by IBM WorkLight, and then layer it all over utilizing IBM Smart Cloud or SoftLayer to deliver a brand new way that people can access information. So what IBM Concert is allowing us is to take advantage of mobile applications, collaboration in a cloud-based environment. A couple of the key features that you'll see throughout the presentation as we go through Concert. One of the things that we came up with that's new for us is the concept of guided business processes. These are process lists that you can put in order or of the different applications that you want to go through in any kind of business analytic process. They can be clicked off when they're finished. They can be revisited afterwards. We also want to focus on collaboration. If someone is going through a step in a process, we want them to be able to communicate through online communication capabilities with their peers and find out, are they making the best decisions? Are they getting all the ideas out on the table? And then finally, we want this all to be cloud deployable and mobile enabled. More and more people are outside of their office visiting customers or the warehouse or attending off-site meetings. And out of the office should not mean out of the loop. So we want to extend the mobile capabilities that Paul talked about earlier that were some of the new things to TM1 and take them even a step further. So what I'd like to start off with here, for those of you that were TM1 users or have been TM1 users in the past, what you're seeing here is an example of a TM1 Cube Viewer. All right, so this is a way that you can look at data and analyze it and slice and dice it. And this is something that a person that was using TM1 today without IBM Concert would probably be familiar with. Now, what you notice in this next slide is in the center of the screen, the TM1 Cube Viewer is still in the middle. You can see it highlighted in the large box. But Concert capabilities are surrounding that application now. So on the left-hand side, you can see a task list, which would allow you to go step by step through the different procedures that you have. You've got contextually relevant help tips. So when a particular step is highlighted, those help tips will be relevant to the step that's highlighted. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, what you can see is once a task is highlighted, you can go ahead and look and see what are the different metrics that are related to that particular task. What are some of the comments that have been going back and forth? You can even do polling, set up a vote on how you think things should go, or if you're looking to get some ideas from some of your peers. So this is just a quick view into what the new paradigm which IBM Concert will deliver can do for our customers and for people using business analytics. So next what I'd like to do is just walk you through a day in the life scenario. And it's going to be a scenario of a typical planning challenge that an organization could have. Today, if you need to make a midstream adjustment in one of your plans, a lot of times it's phone calls, it's emails, it's text messages back and forth, hoping that somebody's at their desk and isn't on vacation that day. And what I'd like to do is walk you through and show you a little bit about how that change could be made, or that if on-the-fly adjustment could be made if we are utilizing the capabilities of IBM Concert. So on this first screen, this would be the home screen that you would come to in Concert, and a couple of things that you'll notice. First of all, across the top of the screen, key metrics that are important to you in your everyday work can be displayed on top, and those can be toggled back and forth. But also on the left-hand side, you see the arrow pointing up on the far left-hand side. That's pointing to your activity list. And in this particular warning is telling me that expenses have changed from green to red. And so I have a challenge. And then if I go up on top, I can further see that it's the sales expenses that are now at 103% of quota. So let's say I'm Andy, the sales manager, and I come in, and this is how I start my day, and I look at this information. So the first thing that I'd want to do is go into that particular process of planning and see the different steps that I have. So again, on the right-hand side, I can see commentary, I can see metrics. Well, I specifically want to go in and look at a chart to find out where exactly is this coming from. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my BI analysis, and I can quickly see that, yes, sales expenses are indeed in the red, but furthermore, if I go down into my KPI report, I can notice that it's specifically sales training that looks like it's got a red dot next to it. So that looks like an area that I might want to do some work with. So clicking on that, I come through and I see that currently I have sales training expenses that were set for $50,000 a quarter. Well, it told me that sales training was over budget, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push sales training out of Q4 to try to get my expenses in order. So I'm going to go in, and in that lower order, I'm going to set my sales training to 0. But then on top, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a note in to the rest of my peers. And I'm going to tell them, hey folks, I think that we need to get the sales training under control. I'm suggesting that we push out sales training into Q1. But then also on top of that, but right below that, I'm going to set up a new poll. I'm going to say, hey everyone, what do you think of pushing sales training out? And then I'm going to go ahead and vote yes for it. So right now the vote is 1-0 in favor of my great idea. So now let me switch roles. Now I'm going to be Amy, the sales VP. And I'm sitting outside of a customer's office getting ready to go in, and my smartphone beeps. And I see also the same thing that Andy saw earlier, that metric sales expenses has changed from green to red. So by clicking on that entry on my smartphone and going from the bottom up, I see that there's a vote, postpone sales training until Q1. And I also know that right now the vote is 4-1 against doing that. I see Andy's comment, hi team, I'd like to suggest we postpone sales training until next quarter to help cut cost. But then I see one of Andy's peers, Kathy, has also entered into the fray. And she says, I think this will do more harm than good. We've had a lot of changes and need time together to educate. So looking at that information, I kind of agree with Kathy on this. So I'm going to also vote no and put in my own comments, okay? I believe that this will have we have a sales execution problem, thus I think deferring sales training in Q4 is a poor decision. I'm going to vote no, but notice also up in the comment that Amy has made, I also put down at Neil Brown. Neil Brown is the CFO of the organization. He's not normally involved in the sales planning and budgeting process, but Amy thinks it's important enough, this particular topic, that she'd like to bring Neil into the conversation. So now I'm going to switch hats again, and I'm Neil, and I'm the boss. So I'm on the beach in Hawaii enjoying time with my family when my smartphone beeps, and I pull it out of my pocket, and I see that Amy has mentioned me in the sales forecast thread. So I click on that thread, and I see Andy's comment, and Kathy's comment, and Amy's comment, and looking at all that, I agree. I don't think that cutting sales training is a very good idea. So I'm going to say I agree with Amy. Cutting sales training is too short-sighted. I suggest you delay new equipment. So now I'm going to switch back, and I'm Andy again. And now I'm in Andy's shoes, and I can go back and maybe I can defer the purchase of some tablets that we're going to roll out to the field, or I can defer the purchase of a piece of software that might have been going in, rather than cut back on sales training. So the moral of the story here is I'm Andy sitting at my desk, and I come up with the great idea that I was able to dig down and figure out that, yes, indeed, it does seem to be that sales training is over budget. But even after figuring out that sales training is over budget, I could have made a poor decision that my CFO and my VP of sales didn't support, and oh, by the way, most of my peers were against, just by making that decision in a vacuum. So one of the things that you just saw as we walked through there were guided business processes that I could walk down my lists, a focus on collaboration, and then also a big focus on mobility, because a lot of these folks are not going to be sitting at their desks, and they might not answer their cell phone if they're getting ready to go into a meeting. So we want to push as much of that capability out to the folks that are in the field as humanly possible. So with that, Samit, I'm going to turn it back over to you for a question and answer session.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Chad, for the detailed description for our audience with our solutions. Now, let's spend a few minutes answering questions from the audience. I ask you, our audience, to use the Q&A button in your web console to ask questions. Great. It looks like we have a few questions coming in from our viewers. These first set of questions are for you, Paul. So I'm going to read out the questions for you. The first question is, we have Cognos BI. How Cognos BI is different from Cognos TM1?
Wow. Talk about giving someone an easy question to get started. I was actually booking a flight to join Chad at his home in Hawaii, so I guess I have to step away from that and first answer these questions. So the first one, it sounded like customer has Cognos BI, and how is that different from TM1? Well, Cognos BI is the best BI platform out there, business intelligence for touching different data sources, whether the data is tucked away in ERPs or other relational sources, mainframes, et cetera, and then creating reports and analysis and queries and dashboards. Now, Cognos TM1 is an analytic platform. It allows me to solve different business problems based on a smaller set of data. So in Cognos TM1, I'm going to model my business to solve a specific problem. I'm going to run that process, such as planning, budgeting, reforecasting, et cetera. I'm going to look at my results, but then I might use Cognos BI to create larger reports of the data, to send that data out to hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands different users. I might take the data and build it into scorecards, which show up on dashboards throughout the Cognos BI environment. So again, Cognos TM1, an analytic platform for solving analytic-type problems, tied to Cognos BI, where I get the value there of all standard business intelligence, rolling out BI and data and information, supporting information to many more users. Can I get back to booking my flight, Summit, or are there more questions?
Thank you, Paul, for the detailed answer. The second question, once again, it's for you, Paul, and the question is, I see a lot of products on budgeting, planning, and forecasting on the cloud. Does IBM offer a similar product?
Oh, sure. Another great question. Well, IBM has the largest and most advanced cloud computing platform on Earth, actually. You'll find that a lot of the sites that you visit right now are powered by IBM solutions. But in the business analytics area where Chad and I work, we have specific cloud solutions. And specific to mine, the one that I've been presenting is IBM Cognos TM1. I can acquire TM1 to run on-premise, which means the software is installed in offices and on hardware that I own or lease, or to skip that process of installing software on boxes. I can subscribe to IBM Cognos TM1. That's a SaaS environment, software as a service, and consume the analytic services that Cognos TM1 provides over the web. All I need is a browser, and I'm up and running, submitting the plan and reviewing results. So we do indeed offer a cloud version of Cognos TM1. Plus, we offer cloud versions of a number of other applications as well. And anyone at IBM Cognos, if you give us a call, we'd be able to tell you about some of those other cloud solutions.
Thanks, Paul. Again, there's one more question coming your way. The question is, what is the difference between the SaaS and the traditional deployment of TM1?
Okay, well, SaaS refers to, and that SaaS is a recent industry acronym, and it came to be as different companies started to rely on the internet to provide services to consumers into business. SaaS stands for software as a service, where in the past, let's say in HR, if I needed to go to my HR executive to here in the U.S. to get a form to change my number of dependents for tax reporting purposes, the HR type of companies have now provided those services are prior provided by an expert, an individual sitting in office, now over the web. So they're providing HR administration services over the web, and that's software as a service. We also provide, as I mentioned earlier, Cognos TM1 as a cloud service. I can consume analytics, reporting, and budgeting over the cloud or in the cloud, over the web in a SaaS-type environment. And again, that contrasts with receiving a DVD popping it into a computer that I've owned or leased, and installing the software not only on my main server, but any of the client environment software on the different machines, no matter where those users are, all over the world. So hopefully that's a quick and effective difference between SaaS and on-premise.
Thank you, Paul. This is one more question your way, Paul. The question is, what is scorecarding? Is a part of TM1, or do you have to download it separately?
Oh, that's a great question. Scorecarding is a performance management practice. In fact, really not subscribed to as much as we've seen in the past. And scorecarding very simply allows departments, individuals, even entire organizations to look at one screen to understand how they're doing against a set of targets. Now, a scorecard doesn't have every single measurement. It might just have a handful of them, perhaps some longer, usually with some graphics, such as a smiley face if you're doing better than planned, sad face if you're not achieving targets, stoplights, an arrow shaped to point upwards and downwards to indicate trending. And inside of a scorecard are metrics, my target, how I'm achieving those, and my trend, a metric diagram, which helps to understand if I touch one specific measure, if I increase sales, how that affects the bottom and top line. Also a strategy map, which is what my corporation defines as how we're going to go to business, how the different elements of my organization across the world react. So on a single scorecard, I might have those three different things: metrics, strategy maps, impact diagrams. And scorecarding comes with IBM Cognos TM1, starting with version 10.2, released this past September. I don't need to do anything differently to acquire it. It's part of the system. It installs automatically. If you like to use it, fantastic. If you don't want to use it, that's fine too. If you want to start using it a year after you get a TM1, that's fine too. And you'll find most of the competitors out in the marketplace either don't offer scorecarding, or you have to acquire scorecarding separately for an additional cost and a different confusing license. So we're excited to provide scorecarding in the same box as the rest of Cognos TM1. So there you go, Summit. Hopefully, is that my last question?
Thank you so much, Paul, for answering the questions from our audience. And looks like we also have a few questions coming your way, Shad. And the first question is, does IBM Concert replace TM1 as IBM's new budgeting and planning tool?
Thanks, Samit. No, that's not the case at all. Concert's capabilities are totally additive to what TM1 brings to the table. TM1 is going to continue to be developed as our application that does the heavy lifting when it comes to planning and forecasting. Concert is simply there to surround it, provide those task lists, the mobility, and the additional collaborative capabilities.
Hey, thanks, Chad. The second question for you is, can existing customers utilize TM1 on-premise as opposed to deployment in the cloud, or utilize Concert's capabilities?
Yeah, so what I think they're looking for there, Samit, is our existing customer base that are currently on-premise, can they use Concert? And the answer is not in Q4. The initial release of Concert is only going to be available for our on-cloud customers. And so if you have deployed TM1 in the cloud, you would be able to utilize IBM Concert. But for our customers who are on-premise customers, that will be coming at a later date.
Okay, thanks, Chad. And we have a couple of more questions for you, Chad. And the third question is, who should consider IBM Concert on cloud in Q4?
Yeah, this is kind of in connection to the last question, just a further offshoot on that. A new prospect that is looking at planning, forecasting, profitability, modeling, optimization, the scorecarding that Paul was just talking about. If you are looking for that right now in Q4 and you are looking to deploy on the cloud, IBM Concert is absolutely an application that you're going to want to take a real strong look at. If you're still looking to deploy on-premise, again, we're a little bit further off, and that will be coming in the future still.
Thank you, Chad. This one last question for you, And the question is, what IBM products will IBM Concert work with in Q4?
Yeah, another great question, and something we haven't brought up so far. And that is, in Q4, the initial launch of IBM Concert is surrounding TM1. In the future, however, we will surround other BA applications that IBM has in the performance management stack. So we're really excited about what the future can bring for us, allowing to tie different applications together underneath Concert. Now, having said that, in Q4, it's only being rolled out for TM1, but we will be adapting to new and additional projects and products in the future.
Thank you so much, Chad, for the answers. And I have one last question, and this question is for you, Paul. When and where is IBM's Vision Conference happening?
Great question, Samit. Our Vision Conference, which is really the best opportunity to see both Concert, IBM Cognos Concert that Chad described, as well as Cognos TM1 and other IBM business analytic products, will be May 18th through the 21st down in sunny Orlando. I believe that is at the Marriott World Center. Great place to attend a conference, nice big pool, great restaurants, and Disney and all kinds of other things. Again, plus an opportunity to interact with your colleagues, other experts in the industry, see some great presentations, and get out of the office for a little bit as well. If you visit IBM.com, you'll have no problem finding your way to a link where you can learn more about Vision, as well as register for the conference itself. Again, May 18th through the 21st, 2014, down in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you, Paul. Well, Paul and Chad, we are out of questions. Again, I want to thank you both for your presentation and the time spent here. And I also thank you, our viewers, for spending this hour together. We hope this delivers value to you and your organization. Thank you, and have a good day.